Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a weekly wrap-up video, but I really don't have a lot of interesting things that happened last week, but I did get some interesting stuff in the mail, so it's mostly a pro-consumerism video. And the book I will talk about of the ones I read last week, how about Salem's Lot? Oh, hold on. I had to put something on my lips. I felt like a fish. Gross fish. Okay, so let me see. Last week, I did post 2 videos, even though I actually recorded 3 videos, but I'm trying to figure out what frequency I want to post. It would be great if I could like pick days that I posted, like maybe it's gonna be Wednesday, Thursday, and then the wrap up on Sunday, but that feels like Sunday, Monday's too close. I don't know. How do you guys figure that kind of stuff out? I also think that if I try and be too rigid with the Monday, Thursday, Sunday thing, then that's not gonna work for me either. So 2 to 3 times a week is gonna be my goal for 2021, with the Thursday, Friday-ish being focused on a book review or a few book reviews. I might go back to my 3 books post that I was doing before because I'm not really great at doing 1 book review at a time. So maybe a 3 on a theme kind of thing. But so I still have a video left over from last week that I recorded to post, and I think that's pretty much it. I had work, of course, because we're still alive, and so we still have to do work. But some of the good things that I got this week in the mail is one of the things that I'm drinking now. I ordered a holiday pack, a holiday sampler pack from Bones Coffee. So because I order coffee, I get a lot of targeted ads on my feeds about coffee. And this one is one of the ones that's kind of been on my feed the longest. But I really love their graphics. And on their website, they link and attribute and thank the guy who does a lot of their graphics, which I thought was really cool. So I got the sampler pack, and my goal was to just go through all, I think there's 5 different kinds in there, flavors. But I tried the gingerbread man first, and I really like it. And I'm not a gingerbread, like, fanatic or anything. So the reason why I started with it, because I wasn't sure that I was going to really like it. So I would get that one out of the way. But this is my 3rd cup of it. So I've had this one and the Oh Fudge flavor. And that one was also really good. But I'm really enjoying the gingerbread man coffee flavor. So that was something. The Bones coffee box came Thursday or Friday. And so far, so awesome. I also will still shout out my favorite local coffee roaster, Fuego Coffee Roasters. I will definitely be back, just, trying something different. I also took a quick trip to the library to get the 2 books that were on the hold shelf. It'd be easier to show you if I put this down, but I don't want to. Okay. Okay. Books. So one is The Hating Game, which I've heard a lot of great things about. It's a romance. So looking forward to that. And then I believe that Cemetery Boys is also romance in the trans category, if you need to categorize your romance based on type. So this one is I think, regular old cis hetero, and this one is a trans centered protagonist. So I think if that's true, and I'm not totally true, but if it's true, it might also count for a Read Harder challenge this year. I'll have to take a look at that. But it's been on my list. I think on my New Year's tag, it was the book that I talked about. Like every time I go into the store, I want to buy it. And somehow I end up never having it in my possession. So I checked it out from the library. I also got another Junji Ito book. So this came with a gift receipt, but it wasn't on my gift list, on my wish list. So with a little bit of digging, I found out that it was my mom who sent it. Thank you so much, Mom. So I messaged her and I was like, did you send me a secret book? And she was like, no, but do you like it? And I do. So I read my first Junji Ito book in December, and then I talked about it and showed it in one of my videos as one of my wrap-up books. So she sent me another one, which is so cool. And then I actually also got one for Christmas from my partner. So it's kind of one of those things where you start talking about something and everybody's like, oh, now I know what to get you, because I'm actually pretty hard to buy for, because I buy things for myself all the time. So I'm excited to read this one too. And then the last thing I got this week in the mail is, yes, another book sleeve from Dreaming of Sealy. And I just really like it. It's probably going to be the one that I'm using the most right now because it's got the masking messaging on it. And this one is maybe my fourth or fifth one from her. So Reader Monica is her handle on Instagram, but her shop's name is Dreaming for Sealy. So I really love this one. It's probably my second favorite one of the ones that she gave me. The first favorite one, when I bought it, I actually sent it to my mom, who was begging. And she actually, my mom uses my YouTube channel to shop, basically, because I show things that I like. And she told me last week that she doesn't care about the books I'm reading. She just wants to see the stuff I bought. And lucky her, I'm constantly buying things. All right, so that is it for the week, I think. I will post whatever I recorded last week and didn't post. And then today is the wrap up. And then I've got my favorites from December video that will come out hopefully this week. And then also a summary of some of the reading challenges and the January TBR. So look for those later this week. Okay, so Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot is written by Stephen King in, I think, the 70s. Is that right? Or did the movie come out in the 70s? Anyways, whenever I think about Salem's Lot as a book or as a title, I always think about witches and witchcraft, and I always forget that this is actually a vampire novel. It's basically about the town of Jerusalem's Lot, and people start going missing. Around the same time, an author shows up in the town. So he spent some summers there with an aunt when he was younger, and he goes back because he's trying to write a new novel that he thinks will sell more money. So he's been, pretty successful, but nothing mainstream. So there's this house in Jerusalem's Lot that is supposedly haunted because people died there. There was a murder-suicide in the house. So he goes there for inspiration and just spends some time there. He meets a woman, they hit it off, he meets some other folks in town, and a new furniture shop opens, and nobody knows anything about the people who just opened the furniture shop. And people start going missing. And the readers know pretty quickly that something's up. First of all, it's Stephen King, and you picked it up because you knew something was going to be up. And the author starts to recognize some patterns from his research with the old house and the missing people that have started missing these days, this current episode. And he starts talking to people about it, and sometimes they think he's nuts, and sometimes, they recognize that something's going on too. So what I like about Stephen King, one, all of his books are an investment. They're lengthy, especially those kind of classic ones. And my goal is actually to go through some of those old books that I think that I've read before, but I'm pretty sure with Salem's Lot as I was reading. I was like, I don't recognize any of this. So I might have been fooling myself about that. But I love his storytelling. So he is very descriptive, and he always adds a lot of backstory with the character. So, for example, the main character, not the main character, a different character, is talking about, I have never been so afraid in my life, except for that one time when I was 8. And then it gives you the story about when he was 8. And you're like, I don't need that story. But he does that a lot with lots of his characters so that each person in his story feels like a real person, which helps, I think, because lots of people die, and the connection to those deaths is different if those people feel like actual people. He also, so this is the third one I think in a row that I've read. Yeah, because I started The Stand and read a third of that, which is the regular length of a regular book, and I'll read the second, third probably sometime, I don't know. And then I read Pet Sematary, and then I just finished Salem's Lot. And there are these places in each of those books, I think in most of his books, where he kind of like, he gives you this laundry list of either things that are happening in a day or people who are in the town. One of the things that I think is really important is that the title thing, not always a person, but the title is often in reference to something that becomes a character in the story. So Christine was a car, but she was really a character in the story. Salem's Lot, this town, is really personified. What's the word? Personified? Maybe. He talks about the town breathing and living and dying through the course of this book. So I really like that. It's not a book, Stephen King books, especially the classic ones, aren't necessarily books I would pick at the end of the month because they take a little bit of time, but I'm really enjoying them too as audiobooks. So I can really appreciate the audiobook narrator in this one, and in Pet Sematary was fantastic. So the story, if I didn't already say this, is about the group of people who know what's up and are going to try and solve the problem of this vampire infestation in this town. So that's what happens. And it's a horror book, as you might guess. More like explicitly horror versus some of his not newer, but like that middle range. No, I guess all of, I'm trying to think of other things. I feel like not all of his books are as overtly horror oriented. Like some of them feel more like thrillers or suspense. And he is a master of suspense. With Pet Sematary, one of the things that happens is that he's basically building up to, he spends, I don't know, 500 pages building up to 20 pages of action. And masterfully, like I would never criticize Stephen King. Yes, I would. Maybe not to his face, but but I think that I'm really enjoying going back to kind of the roots of where I think my interest in horror writing started, because I was a big Stephen King fan as a middle schooler. And my friend Tanya and I, and we're actually still friends. She's the one who makes most of my knitted hats, crocheted hats. She's a crocheter. We wrote horror stories for our creative, whenever we had to do creative story writing for classes, and then we would write them also in between. And looking back at them, or thinking about them now, and then thinking about the kids that I work with, I'm a psychologist, the kids that I work with, somebody would have turned us in as like disturbed or something. And maybe we were disturbed, I don't know. But I feel like we really got away with some things that people wouldn't have wanted us to get away with, I think, in 2020, 2021. Like, people are so much more like, they talked about stabbing someone. Like, I watched 6 horror movies last weekend and, you know, Retta and Rice, relax, it's fine. um, so that's a whole nother tirade I could go on about our low tolerance for expression of youth. But I won't. And actually, in this book, in Salem's Lot, the author, whose name I can't remember right now, he talks about when he was young. Hey, y'all. Correction. It was not the author, the character in the book. It was actually Stephen King talking about this in the foreword of the book. Oops. Source confusion. It's a thing. 8 to 10 to 12 years old. And his mom would bring him books, these paperbacks, and would let him get any book he wanted to. She would say it was trash, but she never took the books away from him. She never made him not read it or didn't allow him to read it. And she would just say, here's another book, it's trash. And she would often read them too. So I thought that was a really great kind of scene or great memory from the author for the book. I'm also this year going to try to do the Talia Hibbert read along with Sarah Says Read and Sugar Dusted Books over on Instagram. So those are 2 author-based challenges that I've joined on Storygraph. So if you're on Storygraph, you know how to look people up. I've got the same handle everywhere. Look me up over there. I'm going to try and keep track of the Stephen Kings that I read this year. And The Shining is already on my phone. So that will be the next audio book, unless I skip, unless I do like something light and then jump into The Shining, which is possible. All right, so that was the week. Boring. Oh, I loved it. I don't know if I said that. I don't know if a review can be a review without saying whether you like the book or not. I liked the book, loved the audiobook. The narrator was great. Salem's Lot, short for Jerusalem's Lot. Again, I always forget what the heck it's about because the word Salem means witches to me. But I would recommend, and if you've read it or have thoughts or feelings about Stephen King's writing one way or the other, drop them in the comments. I'm going to remember to ask you to subscribe this time, which I never do. And I will catch you on the next one.